Hi, I am John and welcome to my channel Laowai in China. On this channel, my aim is to inform people that have never visited China what life here is really like, and not as it is often portrayed in Western media. I cover topics such as travel, culture, as well as current affairs, both here and overseas, that reflect the day-to-day life here. Today's video is called The USA's Fear and Paranoia over TikTok. Is it justified? I hope you like this video, so sit back and enjoy. Several government agencies, not just in the USA, but elsewhere too, have taken steps for their employees to stop using TikTok on government devices over security fears. What are these fears and are they justified? It has been clearly stated that TikTok is based in the USA, will use American data that is stored on American soil by an American company which is overseen by American personnel. TikTok will be using a firewall that seals off protected user data from unauthorized foreign access. Yet in the USA, these assurances seem to continually fall on deaf ears. Perhaps the people who should be listening are not interested in the truth and have decided the outcome due to the fear of foreign competition in social media that has until recently been dominated by American-owned enterprises. With all these assurances in place, why is America so afraid of TikTok? Could it be that the systems in place in America are not stringent enough, yet the American-owned apps are not under the same level of scrutiny? Now, why is that? Or could it be that the Chinese-developed app is of superior quality and is a better option, and the American government is trying to stifle the threat of some foreign competition? After all, there are a reported 150 million users of the app in the United States. Why do they not have those same fears? Many of the young Americans using the app have built for themselves a business, yet the American government, in the land of the free, wants to shut these small businesses of their own citizens over unfounded and unproven security fears. Let us take a look at some of those fears. Officials in the US state of Connecticut chose not to ban TikTok after they consulted with the FBI. This decision was taken after the state of Maryland recently imposed a ban on its government devices and networks. Cybersecurity officials in Connecticut then asked the FBI for some guidance on this matter. They asked if the FBI had any additional information to support a ban in the state amid dire warnings by other law enforcement agencies. In particular, Republican governors had stated the app posed serious threats to both privacy and national security. The Chief Information Security Officer for Connecticut, Jeff Brown, asked via email if Maryland imposing its ban was a case of overreach. In response to Brown, the FBI agent focused on cybercrime stated that the FBI could find or held no additional information to share, and that Maryland and other states had announced these bans on TikTok based on nothing more than news reports and other open source information about China in general, and not specific to TikTok. The CIO for Connecticut ultimately determined that the risk from TikTok was low based on facts, and he had received no information that suggested TikTok had misused data, and any concerns about the app had nothing to do with the app itself. He finished by recommending that the state governor take no action at this time, but they will continue to monitor the situation. This was reported by Al Jazeera in communication with those mentioned above, and is in stark contrast to the view taken by Christopher Wray, the director of the FBI, who issued dire warnings to the public about TikTok. Ray has repeatedly issued the warning that China could use TikTok to manipulate content which could then be used to influence operations and steal personal data for espionage purposes. In response to that claim, I ask you, Mr. Ray, how could China do the things you claim if the data is stored in the US, on US equipment operated by a US company which is operated by US personnel? I would like to see Mr. Ray show even the slightest shred of evidence that supports his outrageous claim. He continued, and I quote, "All of these things are in the hands of a government that doesn't share our values and that has a mission that's very much at odds with what's in the best interests of the United States." Ray told a University of Michigan event last month that should concern us. Maybe the telling claim that China does not share the values of the United States could be read that the level of honesty and integrity of some senior officials in the US could be questioned. ByteDance, the parent company of TikTok, has argued that Mr. Ray's warnings about the app are purely hypothetical and no evidence of any wrongdoing has been presented. These bans are not driven by evidence, only driven by misinformation about TikTok and its parent company. So I ask again, who is on the moral high ground here? As in the case for Connecticut, who acknowledged there is little technical evidence to justify the level of fear and anxiety instilled by several people in positions of power over one of the world's most popular apps. Cliff Lamp, a professor of information at the University of Michigan, stated he has seen no evidence that TikTok is of any greater risk than any other social media platform, and the sole concern is that it is partly owned by a Chinese company. Let us take a look at the last sentence there. TikTok is partly owned by a Chinese company, so you may ask, who owns the remainder of TikTok? 60% of ByteDance shares in TikTok are owned by global investors. This includes American companies, giants in the world of investment such as American companies BlackRock, Sequoia, and General Atlantic. Would these American companies be involved in TikTok and entrusting their money into an enterprise that endangered the security of the USA? No, of course not. The real reason the Biden administration is challenging TikTok is purely because the US can't face up to the reality of an internet that is increasingly being dominated by companies that are not American. Let's look now at the number of young American users of TikTok, and I will emphasize the use of the word young here. Most people in power, not just in the USA, but worldwide, are more senior in years. They do not fully understand the needs of the youth of today, and by banning TikTok because it is a non-American company and a threat to American hegemony, is also a threat to the livelihoods of those young American content creators on the app. But America has never bothered about the world's poor, and in that statement I add the poor of their own country. What does this mean for American TikTok users? American content creators are obviously concerned over the implications to their livelihood should the US instigate a ban on the app. The top earners using TikTok's Creator Fund are earning thousands of dollars for their sponsored posts, and a ban would leave these young American entrepreneurs with nothing. A ban on TikTok could open the door for American companies such as Meta, Instagram, as well as the introduction of Vine, a short-form video app that was discontinued in 2019. But do these American companies offer the same opportunities to content creators as they are offered on TikTok? And what about the personal data of users on those sites? What measures are in place to protect their privacy, not from foreign surveillance, but from those that claim to be protecting the security of its citizens? For banning or selling TikTok to an American company will not solve the issues of American national security. Users' data will still be heavily scrutinized just not from whom the US government is claiming. If you have enjoyed watching this video and it has shown you a little detail of life here in China, then your subscribing to my channel would mean a lot to me. Thank you for watching, and make sure you click on the link to the next video.